I kind of thought it was a fad. I didn't think it would stick. I thought, it like any other clothing thing, some things just don't fit. Like the fanny pack. You remember the fanny pack? You see some people with them, but a good majority of people ain't wearing no fanny pack. I wore one before, and I've also done what I'm gonna speak on today. Until my granddad told me where it came from. He said it came from the prison system, and it meant that you were sexually available. And that wasn't true. Well, not in that part. Not in that system. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to That Doesn't Make Sense. Today, sagging pants. You see it everywhere you go. Pants hanging off below the ball sack, drawers out for all to see. And growing up, I'd see young men reaching way too low for their wallets. Where did it come from? Where did it start? Why did it start? Well, part of it is the prison system. Because prisoners, back then, or probably even now, couldn't get belts. I haven't asked my brother that. That's one thing I didn't ask. I was like, it seemed like they would give you belts, but then I started thinking, if they give you belts, you're in a harsh environment. You can spend your whole life in there. Some people don't care. So if you give somebody, a prisoner, a belt, there's 3 things they could probably do with it. Wear it, commit suicide, or use it as a weapon. Prisoners are given clothes with no belts. And so they had to sag. They had to make do with what they had. And then eventually they were released into civilization after time served. Now remember, the people have been locked up for so long, they haven't been wearing belts. They kind of accustomed themselves and adjusted to not wearing belts. So eventually, this leaked out into the street. So it turned into a fashion thing. People started sagging, okay? Well, the African American community, mostly. So, I used to do it too. I remember. I was a part of the sagging trend. Just for a little bit. But it just didn't make any sense to me. It just didn't. I tried to make it make sense. But when I started finding out that life was a little bit difficult with it, I couldn't mess with it. I was just one brother that just wasn't. No, that just wasn't I'm cut from a different cloth, I guess. Yeah. But I ain't the only one. I know a few people like that. Eventually, it leaked into the hip hop community. This is only part, not even half, of where this came from. Are you ready? This roots from slavery history. And it was called buck breaking. Now, have you ever heard of that? Don't that sound familiar? It sounds like, buck breaking sounds like you are trying to break a wild horse. The cowboys jump on the wild horses or try to tame the animals. There's certain things that they would try to do to break them. So, buck breaking at this time was a form of sexual abuse. And it was a way of dominance. It was just the way to humiliate the slave, the male slave. So what they would do was, they would take this male, they would whip him, beat him in front of everyone. Now remember, back in the day, they used to make a spectacle of everything. When they were doing lynchings and hangings, even after that, this was one thing that people would get together and watch. Okay? After whipping and beating, embarrassing and humiliating this enslaved man, they'd have sexual intercourse with him in front of his family. they would rape him. To serve as a warning, even in the slave rebellion, they would rape them. Slaves with families were forced to have sex with each other in front of families, sometimes raped in front of their families if they refused, and then sometimes just killed. Some of these men killed themselves or ran away. This was a way to show dominance. This was a way to belittle people. Okay? Eventually, when slaves were, wearing pants and stuff, a lot of them didn't have belts. Or a lot of them didn't know what belts were, So, they were given things. What would happen is they would rape these men, and then they would take their belts. They would make them walk around with their pants sagging. Okay? As evidence of being broken in. Broken in. You remember? Buck breaking. Broken in. So, folks, this is just one sexually abusive act. There are many. And folks, there are many trends out there. And it just seems like I'm going to have a field day seeing if I can match stuff with that. Because that's crazy. That's crazy. In my first episode, I touched on ignorance. I didn't touch very much. Kind of disappointed in my first episode because I felt like I could have put more into it. But it's okay. It's okay. Ignorance can be dangerous. And intentional and unintentional ignorance can be dangerous. And sometimes people are just don't know. Sometimes people know, but don't care. It's very important that we learn history. We need that knowledge so we don't make the same mistakes in the past. So we don't turn something degraded into a trend. This is degrading. I said degraded. This is degrading. This is horrible. There are many other things on here that are horrible too. Like, I could go into breeding farms, castration and genital mutilation, and entertaining sex. But I'm not about to go into all that. That's too much. Okay? So, woo! You turn and see it. Man. You see this every day. But do they care? Do they know? Do they not care to know? Do they know and not care? If so, that doesn't make any sense. Sometimes you turn on the TV and you see grown men. You don't even have to see it on TV. You can see it in everyday life. You can go to the store right now. You can go to the gas station. You can go to Walmart. You can go to the club. You can go to a formal place. You can go anywhere in this world right now, or in the United States of America, where you see grown-ass men that just have their pants sagging. Sometimes they fit tight, sometimes they fit loose, and sometimes they're so small you think they shopped at the kids' store for their clothes. And then they sag them all the way down so you can see all their drawers. And at the end of the drawers, you can see, because we wear, sometimes people wear boxers, briefs, and you can see the back of the leg. That's low. For me to see your whole butt, that's low. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't want to see that. So this started in slavery, and after slavery, I guess it was pushed into the prison system. Think about it. You don't have a belt. It's belittling. You're walking in a penal system, a system where everybody is the same. Emotions are high, even probably hormones are high. Especially when there are instances where men get anally raped. It's not a lot of cases, but there are cases. It's not rampant like you think. That's been something that's been exaggerated. I know people who can tell you stories of people getting raped in prison, but I could tell you that they could tell you that that's probably one of the times that they seen that happen and haven't really heard about it again. Okay. So, like I said, after slavery was pushed into the prison system, modern day slavery, because you don't need shoestrings to kill yourself in prison. I just want to let y'all know that. You don't need shoestrings. You got clothing. You can make a rope. You got something enough to hang yourself. You can choke yourself. If you really want to die, you can die. I'm sorry to say that, but I know people in my life that are not here anymore. They wanted to die, and they're not here, and they made sure that they weren't going to be here. There was nothing stopping them. So the prison system took your belts, your shoestrings, and created a fashion monster, a trend that never should have started. Whatever happened to pants that fit or Velcro? A lot of guys that got out of prison, what happened to Velcro? Sorry, let me what happened to Velcro? Like, is Velcro a weapon? A lot of them in prison, they just kind of take the pants and just fold it. I always see my brother when I used to go visit him, his pants was looped. But, you get pretty big in there, you ain't got nothing else to do but pump. I can't say pump weights. They show you people doing weights and stuff in the prison system. And part of that might be true, but there's a lot of money not going around where it is. Most guys do their workouts in their cells and they have a certain regimen. Most guys don't want to be out in it. I'm not telling you through experience like I know through experience, but what I've heard. So if I'm wrong or if there's something you want to elaborate on, hopefully I won't forget to put a little comment. And please be respectful. Be respectful. Like I said, I'm cut from a different cloth. I've tried to make sure that I don't get in trouble when I was doing bad things, but I wasn't doing no, that just wasn't me. Like when it's like when you ever see the Family Guy where the guy stabs himself in the stomach with the knife. He's like, ow, I do that to people. One day I used to break into houses with my friend. One day I went to go pick up this girl I was messing with. I only went to her apartment, was in there for 5 minutes, came out, my car was gone. I felt violated. And it was a one-way street, and the people who were on the neighborhood, they knew who I was. They just seen my car rolling down the street, and they thought it was me. Said the dude waved and everything, bro. Like, serious, I was upset. I was livid. It didn't make no sense to me. Hey, going back, so I jump subjects. Sometimes you go in and you fat. In the through the prison system, you work out, or you depressed, or both. You lose weight. I wonder if they ever thought of Velcro, like, or did they care? Was that like, okay, we put you here, we give you one set of clothing, one size. This is the size you are. This is the size you are gonna be for a while. If you want a different size, they gonna try to make you pay for it. That never made any sense to me. About the prison system. So they put you in the system, and I know if you're a criminal and you did something bad. For me, honestly, I feel like if you got caught. I'm not saying keep running. I'm saying, like, serve your time. And don't be an anus in jail or in prison. But going back to what I was saying, you go to prison. I don't know if they give you like a set of pants and tell you can't have anything else, but like, I just don't like the fact that they don't they expect you. They pay you when you can do a job, uh, pennies on the dollar, um, and they get to eat certain meals. I mean, I feel like if you're gonna lock somebody up in the system, you're giving them a clear TV or clear DVD player or whatever you're giving them to watch. No, excuse me, not DVD, where you can record stuff like an MP3 player or stuff like that. I understand that, but I mean, I feel like the prison system still, if they're gonna be in there for a while, at least some amended. I've heard some people have complaints. What I hate about it is there's no things in some of these prisons or most of these prisons to help. When the government starts funding stuff, they take things like some prisoners could go to classes while they're in prison. They're gonna be getting out soon for HVAC. So if somebody can go in there and teach you and get you certified, meaning like teach you so you could take the test while you're in prison and get you certified, that's a one up for you. That means when you get out, you could basically kind of start your own business, even though you're a prisoner. So you're gonna have to, put yourself on certain logs. It depends on what charges it is, but or masonry or cook chefs. They need chefs, cold-blooded chefs that I know that can make anything out of anything in prison. Chefs. They don't have these programs because the government is funding some of the prisons now. Once the government takes hold of funding something, they take certain procedures to make sure that certain things run a certain way. So if you're not certified, you can't teach anybody anything. You don't need to be there, basically. So, sorry, I don't know a lot, but I know from what my friends have told me. And I know from, I had an uncle that was a police officer. Y'all don't know that. I say But, and he'd tell me a few things. But some things I'd have to go and research for myself. I never thought about going to go research what they go through. I like to ask because I feel like if I go on a website and I get somebody, I don't know, I'd rather get that hands-on. So if I know somebody, that time I think about that question and they cool, because some people don't like to talk about their experiences in prison because that's a long time away from your family. And it creates this layer, like you go to prison and they take everything from you. It's not like the military. You can't get out the prison. You can get out the military. You just have to pay back what you owe. But and there's other strings for it, but you can't just walk out of prison. It's not gonna happen. They're not gonna let you do that. I think that the prison system just needs work. Like, seriously, I don't see why it could be. And I understand that people have families in there, and if I'm speaking and somebody's upset right now because I said something and they know somebody who's murdered a friend of theirs or whatever and they in prison, but still, yeah, you did an inhumane thing. And please understand this, regardless what comes out of my mouth on here, understand that I am a human being and I believe in forgiveness. And I also believe that once you forgive someone, you don't have to deal with them again. Sometimes there are sick people. The devil is real. Let me be real with you. The devil is real. He's not just a lion that sits in the tall grass and waits for the gazelle, which is us, to go by. It's more powerful than that. And people don't realize the emotions and the things that we go through, the possession that they take. The devil is working 24/7. He's not taking any breaks. Seriously, I want you to know that right now as I speak to you, to let you know that he is real and he is sending people out to destroy your life, to set you up, to do things that put you in positions that you have never been in before, or positions that you feel in your heart you're not supposed to. Don't just follow your heart. Follow your mind. Follow God. Make sure whatever you do out here in this world, that you make sure you put God first. And I'm not saying you make sure before you go and shoot that dude to put God first. No, that's not going to work like that. Good is good and bad is bad. That's all to it. It looks like right here, from what I'm seeing, we're taking things that we're not supposed to take from the past and bringing them to the present and trying to make something positive about it. It's just like the nigga word. Nigga can't get positive. Niggas can't even be used because somebody's gonna get offended when they hear nigga sounds too much like nigga, and nigga is black king. There's other translations to other things that sound too much like it. It's not a word that I use. Sometimes I slip. I ain't gonna lie, I slip. Oh man, I slip. And I have to stop myself and I say, I'm sorry in front of everybody. I don't care because I don't know how other people feel about that word. And I know how I feel about it, but it's been so rooted into me. I've been trained to have that. Okay, I was talked about, we could go back to that legacy part. What legacy are you pulling in right now? And that's for anybody, black, white, Asian, anybody who has kids that are sagging, you allowing it, or adults that are out there doing it, grown men with families, wives, loved ones, and you busting a sag. I want you to think about buck breaking. I ain't gonna say I want you to think about, no, I'm gonna say it because if I say I'm not gonna say it, I'm gonna end up saying it. I'm gonna say, think about coming home, somebody kicking down your door, beating you, dragging you outside of your house, or beating you in your house, and then people constantly coming in. You gotta roll 20 people holding your family and sitting you watch as you're beat butt naked and raped. And instead, they tell you, put your clothes back on. Take his belt. He don't have one. Oh, well, he's already done the job for us. You walking out here looking stupid. As an adult male, if I could see your drawers, and I can understand if you ain't got no butt. I ain't got no butt. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a little dude. I don't have no butt. I'm fine. I'm 43. I'm finally gaining weight. I don't have no butt. You know? I probably have a nice butt when I'm naked, but I don't have no butt. I don't have nothing to hold my pants. I put my belt on. It still feels like it's a little bit too low. And sometimes my drawers be pretty high. I don't like drawers. Excuse me, my boxers. That's none of y'all business. But I'm not sagging. That's the thing. See, that's my business. That's my personal stuff. That's not yours. You can't see it. It's mine. You letting everybody see it. I want you to think about buck breaking, fellas, when this happens. I'm going to end this. I'm going to end with this. Everything we see, we don't need to emulate. Do you. Don't do everybody else. Don't assimilate. We see you penguin down the street. You think you cool. Sagging your pants, showing your underoos. Always pulling up your pants like it ain't no thing. But what's that I see? A doodoo stain! This is Michael Porter. That doesn't make sense. See you next time.